in order. It's regular United Mutual meeting, regular open meeting of the Laguna Woods Mutual Board of Directors of California, Nonprofit Mutual Benefit Corporation. We have a quorum. Lydia is excused and Tom is on Zoom, right? So today's date is Tuesday, November 12th, 2024, 9:30 a.m. Boardroom, and also we can attend virtually. In Laguna Woods Village Community Center, 24351 El Toro Road, Laguna Woods, California. The purpose of this meeting is to conduct the regular United Mutual Board meeting in accordance with Civil Code 4930 and was hereby noticed in accordance with Civil Code 4920. Let us have a pledge of allegiance by our first Vice President Director, Jeannie Costello. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now, I know that we are televised by TV6 live and also recorded by Granicus, right? Is there any other media to be recognized? Hearing none, let us move on. Approval of agenda. Is there any motion to amend or correct? Yes, Maggie?
I move to amend the agenda. That would be on 11B2. Recommendation to deny the request to plant drought-tolerant hedges in the turf to conceal the dumpster at the southwest corner of 325Q Avenida Carmel, and, according to the minutes, to provide the planting of a small tree from the nursery at the location.
Okay.
I second.
All right. Any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none. The minute has been approved as presented, as amended. Okay. Any other amendment? Anything like that? Okay. So then, overall, do we approve our agenda? 11 item, A, B, C, D, E, F, as amended. Is there any motion?
Yes.
Whole agenda. Okay, second? Objection? Discussion? None. It's approved. Thank you. All right, Chair report. Good morning, welcome. My name is Mickey Choi Ho, and I'm newly elected president of the United Board. Actually, this is first official business meeting. We had the organization meeting last month, October 8th, and we are the now full board with the new officers. So welcome on board. We are beginning very new year, and we decide to improve our dress code, making look very professional. Thank you for that. I hope the entire board as a team served the United Mutual and the resident well for the entire year, 2025. The positive and healthy teamwork is very critical, not only for the board itself, but also for the well-being of our community. We serve our organization, United Mutual and resident. That's our goal. As a former treasurer, I have focused on the finance last year, so I was just focused on number. So I haven't looked at many chance of looking at all your faces, but numbers. And I have learned quite a lot, though, regarding the size and operation of the whole village and our mutuals. And also, I learned a lot about the budgets, assessment fees, revenues, and spendings, where all the money goes, so on. I believe the whole year's work as a treasurer really was very helpful to make me and fulfill the new role as the president this year. My initiative this year as a president will be major two items. One, again, to continuously maintain the financial fiscal stability for the corporation, of course, with the collaboration of our treasurer and finance department. Because we all agree that finance is the most crucial and important matters of the health of the organization. And it should be transparent and clear, and communication between the staff and the committee and board, the members of the corporation, is very, very important. We all know that assessment fee next year, 2025, has been increased in a large amount, and most of us feel very, very concerned about that, which is really not very normal number of increase. Amount is $97.04, which is 14.6%. But if we look at the whole history from 2025, still overall average increase rate is only 3.1%, including this year's large jump, which is almost identical as the inflation rate or consumer price index, so on. So far, still average is not bad. But of course, we will work very hard for the future years that we look into very closely the spending. Of course, try not to spend too much unnecessary expenses without cutting down too much, service level for the president. For the resident, that will be our main goal. And in addition to that, up to this point, again, major source of our revenue is our assessment fees. But our committee and the board has been looking into is there any way we could increase the revenue? So thankfully, and credit to some of our board members, the end of the last board year, we formed the revenue generating ad hoc committee. I think Nancy is the key member, and we had Tony was the one who started to have that motion. And then Tom and Allison and Vida was on the committee members. And we will continue to work on the committee. So I think there will be a report. That committee generated some of the very brilliant ideas. And we will bring their recommendation. And this year, we like to implement those plans into the action so that we could build up and establish some way to really do increase our revenue. We will try our best during this year. And the other one that I have as a goal in mind is to celebrate our diversity in our village, in unity. Actually, our name is United Mutual, so I like to bring the unity among the diverse community in our whole village. So, relation to the revenue generating idea, I like to bring those two ideas together because, as you know, we have more than 300 clubs within within the village. Of course, we are working. I hope we can work together with the Third Mutual and GLF if possible. So bring whole village together, have some kind of fair or cultural, event, and so we share our difference and we appreciate and we communicate together. We learn from each other. And then at the same time, we have some kind of celebration event so that we could probably have some fundraising event so that we could generate for the revenue of United Mutual. That's my personal idea, but I will, bring up some more concrete plan on the committee, and also we'll share as a board together. So, according to the survey we just finished, again, Georgiana and Allison was the one who bring the initiate, and we just finished our United Mutual survey. And when you look at the residents are all from all over the world, not only all of the different areas of United States, but also 5 continents, including Antarctica. So, we have a diversity. We have a celebration in terms of language and culture, so on. So I hope during my term this will happen, and we will celebrate, and we'll see what kind of beautiful differences we have. We could communicate together in unity, all right? Now, to have a good, efficient meeting, this is our meeting, we need to be courteous and respectful to one another in decency and order. And I've learned and taught the parliamentary procedure at the seminaries and the religious organizations many years. According to the rule, the chair has all the rights, such as to speak, make a motion, and debate and vote like all other members. However, major, most crucial role as a president is run the meeting well, efficiently, right? So I will be focused on it rather than speak too much myself. I'll give all the members of the board a chance, and from the audience also. And I like to really achieve the basic principle of parliamentary principle, achieve accuracy, efficiency, impartiality, objectivity, and uniformity for the decision-making process. So I will do my best to run the meeting with efficiency. And actually, we will discuss a little more detail in closed session. But according to our Board of Directors handbook, the rules of decorum during our meeting, I just read the list of it and remind not only for the board members, also for the audience and the resident members. Number 1, speakers must conduct themselves in a civil and respectful manner at all times. Members must be recognized by the chair before speaking, and all members' comments shall be addressed to the chair. And number 4, members shall refrain from discussing personalities or making personal attacks. Number 5, speakers shall not use profanity of obscene languages. And 6, audience shall not engage in disruptive behavior. 7, the audience shall refrain from private conversation during meetings. Number 8, members should come and go as necessary for the meeting room in the least disruptive manner possible. Number 9, everyone shall follow the rule of decorum. Thank you very much. This will conclude chair remarks. Let's go on to the next item. Open forum. The 3 minutes per speaker is allowed. At this time, members only may address the board of directors regarding items not on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of this board of directors. The board reserves the right to limit the total amounts of time allotted for the open forum to 30 minutes total. A member may speak only once during the forum, and speakers may not give their time to other people. No audio or video recording by attendees, and no rude or threatening comments. Members can attend the meeting by joining the Zoom link, which is written on the agenda, or call the number again, which is written, or email meetings@bmsinc.org to have your message read during the open forum. Do we have any open forum speaker?
Yes, first speaker is Catherine Bravata.
Thank you. Welcome.
Morning.
Good morning.
Let me pass this out first, so you can see what I want to talk about. I did
Thank
not
you.
make, thank you. Did you, enough copies? You two will have to share, please.
I'm an only child, I'm not used to sharing.
And can you guys share?
Sure.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you. Okay.
Good morning. Thank
Good
you
morning.
for listening to me. Several months ago, as you can see in the very first photo, we had several trees down below our building, 864 Rhonda Mendoza, cul-de-sac 85. The trees were removed by landscape several months ago because when you pushed on them, the one actually fell over and the other one was really bad. There's no water down there. We ourselves or they would have to come and get a hose and actually water that area. So what I plan on doing, or what we would like the people in our building want permission, is being on the VMS board, I had access to Paul to get some preliminary information, and he gave me, reached out to give me some information on what it would cost for us to actually get started through manner alterations, get a variance, and in the second page, you'll see where the dirt is removed. And what we would like is permission to cement it. But before we do that, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself, excuse me. So in cul-de-sac 85, there are 10 buildings, 8 units in each one. So in that cul-de-sac area, we have 80 manors. And we have 23 guest parking. And I measured the area that the trees were in and removed, and the length is 132 inches or 11 feet. The width is 52 inches or 4 feet, 4 inches. Two of my neighbors have golf carts, which on the third sheet you'll see we have a lot of trouble parking or guest parking in that particular cul-de-sac. And so I measured the golf carts. The golf carts are 42 inches wide by 87 inches long. So they would very easily fit into each side where the space is that we would like to cement. We don't need electrical, which Paul was able to reach out to Manor Alterations, and they basically gave him some information that it's $150 for a variance application, $750 URL, $200 mutual consent contingency, landscaping fees, which would not apply. So if you remove some of that, it would be like $900, and then we would pay to do the rest of the construction. But if we don't have authorization from you to be able to park the 2 golf carts there, then we'll just turn that area back over to landscape, and they can put in something that won't die. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any other members comment?
Yes, next speaker is Victoria Nardoni.
Good morning. My name is Vicki Nardone, and I'm here to ask for your help. And to respect the 3 minutes, I'm going to read. I'm sorry, I would like to make eye contact, but I can't do both.
Thank you.
I have lived in Laguna Woods for 9+ years, and I owned a co-op at 363P Avenida Castilla, which I rented out for the past several years because the stairs became difficult for me. I resided in another property. Last year, I bought a condo that I fell in love with. In order to qualify for that purchase, however, I had to sell my co-op to my sister with the intention of buying it back to sell and pay off the new 7.5% mortgage. We wish to sell the co-op, but I need to sell it as the sole owner so that my sister will not incur any tax consequences upon the sale. My goal is to sell the co-op. I do not wish to own two properties here. Unfortunately, I have a similar qualification challenge repurchasing the co-op, so I would like to propose the following for your consideration. Once I have an approved buyer for the co-op, as part of the sale and closing process, the ownership is transferred from my sister back to me as the selling party and immediately to the new buyer without me having to requalify as the owner. This would occur only if escrow goes to closing. With this proposition, there would be no loss for the mutual, and I would be the only one to incur any tax consequences on the sale. My hope is that you will see that there is no financial risk to the community, and it will allow me to buy the property without having to requalify, since I will not hold it for any period of time other than what it takes time to transfer the stock certificate from my sister to me, then to the new owners. I genuinely hope that you can see this as an alternative for me so that I might be able to keep the property that I am living in, loving, and otherwise would have to sell after only owning it for a year and a half. Thank you kindly for your consideration of what I know is an unusual request, and I look forward to your response. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other speaker? No, that's it? Okay, thank you. Let's have a response to open forum speakers. Is there any? Yes.
We will
Yes,
be happy to look into that request if the board so directs us to do so.
Okay, thank you. We'll get back to you after that. All right. And to Kathy too, right? Okay. Any other comments from directors for the open forum speaker? No? Okay, let's move on to the next one then. Response to past open forum speaker by Director Blackwell. Please, do you have it right?
Oh, yes. Wait a minute, what is I do with it? It's here, it's here. Oh, yes. Chris Collins, Manor 3306Q, had a foundation update. She gave us the news from the foundation. Elizabeth Romano of 2035A talked about corporate compliance. Cheryl Garcia of 792B wants to be provided with a copy of the asbestos report. She got a copy of the asbestos clearance report, and a copy was sent to the city so her alteration permit could be finalized. Robert Reyes of 327A thanked the board members for their service. He wanted to know if there's an emergency plan in case of a fire. We have an emergency plan in place with the Orange County Fire Authority. Murray Collins of 86P thanked the board for their services. She talked about the turf replacement law, and of course, she's still continuing on the quest with our blessing, and hopefully that will get into an ad hoc committee or something like that. So thank you very much. Those are the responses from the September 10th board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item number 9, BMS report, none. And then let's move on to CEO report.
Thank you. Honorable President, members of the board, it's my privilege this morning to provide you with an update. I would like to start with the BMS Customer Satisfaction Survey that is upcoming. As you know, BMS is a not-for-profit professional community management company equally owned by GRF, Third, and United. GRF and the housing mutuals provide services and maintenance to village residents by contracting with BMS to perform the actual work. Residents interact with BMS daily in such ways as entering the gates, playing sports, visiting a clubhouse, watching TV6, and so on. BMS is committed to providing exceptional services and strives for continuous improvement. BMS board directors and senior management held a BMS strategic planning session in May. Among the 2024 to 2027 goals is to provide exceptional service. This is merely aspirational without a way to measure success, so the VMS Board Ad Hoc Committee recommended a yardstick. The committee designed a brief customer satisfaction survey to gather resident input regarding VMS interactions. Your input will help identify areas where VMS is doing well and areas that require improvement. Residents are asked to complete and submit the survey between today and November 30th. You may find the survey online, which is our preferred method of completion. There is a link in What's Up in the Village. This started last Friday and will run for 4 consecutive Fridays. Residents may visit the news homepage on lagunawoodsvillage.com or read pages 52 and 53 in the November-December Village Breeze. If a paper survey is preferred, they are available at the Community Center lobby here in the Community Center building, Social Services Office, Clubhouse literature racks, the Clubhouse One drop-in lounge, village buses, the village library, and the Towers lobby. The survey will ask for your resident ID. This ensures feedback from village residents only. Only 1 survey per resident can be submitted. Your survey response is confidential. No follow-up will be conducted. Your feedback is vital to VMS's continuous efforts to improve service, and we appreciate the time it will take you to complete the survey. Survey results will be published at lagunawoodsvillage.com and other communications platforms. As a reminder of VMS's commitment to continuous service improvement, the Board of Directors recently guided VMS executive leadership through the benchmarking study to compare our organization with others in the same industry and in the broader marketplace. Benchmarking helps companies improve processes, technologies to reduce costs, customer satisfaction, and more. Report findings aim to guide VMS in improving performance, practices, and strategic planning, and provide members with a greater understanding of VMS services and how costs compare to similar organizations. You can view the entire benchmarking report at bit.ly/VMS benchmark. This morning, I also want to briefly highlight the Employee Excellence Awards. These are presented in the spring and fall to employees who demonstrate excellent customer service, achieve great results on projects, and regularly go above and beyond their regular job duties. I'm going to go through these briefly, but I wanted you to know who our recipients are so you can thank them if you see them in your daily interactions. From the financial services, May Kennedy, senior accountant, was recognized for her role in our recent ERP implementation in the accounting division. In general services, Rodrigo Ayala, concrete finisher, was recognized for being a go-to person. Rosemary Boldrick, also in general services, is an administrative specialist who performs exceptionally in her role. In the information services department, 4 employees in the resident services area were rewarded for their excellence: Ruben Felix, Jocelyn Flores, and Delphine Mathy. And then Grant Schultz is a software analyst who is recognized for his coordination of the entire ERP project, working closely with Chuck Holland. In the landscaping services department, Hector Botello, crew foreman, was recognized for his exemplary customer service. And Noel Lopez, tree trimmer technician, was recognized for his ability to juggle many things and multitask very effectively. In our maintenance and construction department, Azita Badri, project manager, and Guy West, projects division manager, were recognized for keeping the Clubhouse One project on schedule and on budget. Alfonso Castro, plumbing foreman, was recognized for his exceptional customer service. Jonathan Jurigi, maintenance operations supervisor, was recognized for his exceptional problem-solving skills. In manor alterations, Melissa Serrato and Dominique Vargas, both operations specialists, and Melissa's a senior, were recognized for vastly enhancing customer service in manor alterations. The recreation department recognized a team of employees for their outstanding work on the Clubhouse One project. Specifically, every employee noted has gone above and beyond to make the customer experience during the Clubhouse One beautification project the best possible, given an extremely difficult situation. Our Security Services Department recognized Dan Laurie, Supervisor 2. He notably developed the new training program for our GATE ambassadors. And in the CEO's office, we recognize Patty Curzette, Membership Coordinator, for her focus on real estate relations. She is responsible for coordinating the real estate forums and the monthly information bulletins that go out to the real estate community. So again, please join me in congratulating these and other outstanding VMS employees who serve our communities every day. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the
Madam
excellent
President?
service.
Madam
Yes,
President, can I
yes.
make a suggestion?
Sure.
To piggyback onto your acknowledgement of these excellent employees, is there a way that our secretary could send an email from the United Board, our recipients of all of their wonderful effort, on behalf of all of our members, to them as a, like I said, as a piggyback onto their acknowledgement from their employer, VMS? Would that be possible?
We can certainly assist with that if the board is
Okay.
so inclined. Thank you. That's a great idea.
Sure, thank you, right. Well, we don't need any kind of official motion, anything like that. We will do it just right, okay. Right. All right, thank you very much, Siobhan. Under your leadership, we will get a lot of good services. Thank you. Any other question to Siobhan, our CEO? No question. All right, thank you very much. Let's move on to consent calendar. We had amended item 11B, but this time all matters listed under the consent calendar are recommended for action by committees and will be enacted by the board by one motion. In the event that an item is removed from the consent calendar by members of the board, such items shall be the subject of further discussion and action by the board. A, yes?
I
Maggie?
move that we approve the consent calendar.
I second.
Okay, any discussion? Any objection? No objection? Yes, consent calendar is being approved. Thank you. Okay, then move to unfinished business, item 12. First item on the agenda is entertain a motion to approve revision to standard 20, balcony, patio, and atrium covers, September initial notification, 28-day notification for member review and comments to comply with Civil Code 4360 has been satisfied. Yes,
A
Maggie.
point of order, you missed number F at the bottom of the prior page.
F.
Update committee assignments.
That was on the consent calendar.
Oh, that was on consent calendar.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yes, right.
Thank you.
Okay, I did not skip it, right? All right. Okay, so we are still under 12A. Is any motion to move that motion? Unfinished business A, approve revision to standard 20 balcony, patio, atrium covers. Is any motion to approve it? Yes, there is a motion. And second? Yes, there is a second. Any discussion? Do we have any information? Yes, Maggie?
Ordinarily, the secretary reads the pink page.
Okay, all right, yes. Secretary, can you read the pink page of 12A?
Thank you,
Right,
Maggie.
right.
Our former secretary. I'm a little
Right.
out of
She's
practice
been
at this.
forgetting for a while, and
Okay.
this is new for me, so, okay.
All right. Whereas the Architectural Control and Standards Committee recognizes the need to amend standards and create new standards as necessary. And whereas the Architectural Control and Standards Committee recognizes the need to revise Standard 20 balcony, patio, and atrium covers. Now therefore be it resolved, November 12, 2024, the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts revisions and amendments to Standard 20, atrium coverings, and resolve further, Resolution 01-2433, adopted April 9, 2024, is hereby superseded and canceled. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. And Jeannie moved that, and I seconded it.
Okay. Any discussion, objection? Yes, Maggie?
I approve this. I think it's very useful. It's very clear. It has good pictures.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's important to
Yes.
see the pictures, which is easy to understand, right? Any other discussion, question? Otherwise, are we voting on by vote?
Yes.
You're going to use your mouse to vote?
Oh,
Okay.
Okay.
It's not up.
The screen
It
hasn't
does
come
work.
up to vote.
Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Is it on?
Yeah.
Tom, can I have your vote, please?
Yeah, you can use finger. It's easier. All right. Tom, did he vote?
I sent a text said yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
yes, all right. So 7-0, it's been approved. Thank you. Let's move on to next item, 12B. Entertain a motion to approve revision to Standard 34, patio and balcony awnings. September initial notification, 28 notification for member review and comments to comply with Civil Code 4360 has been satisfied. So can you please read the
Yes.
resolution?
Revised Standard 34, patio and balcony coverings. Whereas the United Laguna Woods Mutual recognizes the need to amend standards and create new standards as necessary, and whereas the Mutual recognizes the need to revise Standard 34, patio and balcony awnings. Now therefore be it resolved, November 12, 2024, the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts revisions and amendments to Standard 34, patio and balcony coverings as attached to the official minutes of this meeting. And resolve therefore, Resolution 01-2470, adopted July 9, 2024, is hereby superseded and canceled. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. I so move this amendment,
Okay.
the
Any second?
resolution.
Okay, Maggie is second. Any discussion, question, objection? Okay, then we have to vote actually, right? So, okay, let's vote.
Tom, can I have your vote, please?
Tom, can you vote?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Yes, vote.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. It's been approved. Oh, 9, all right. 9-0. Thank you. Next item, 12C. Oh. Okay.
Her screen is blank. She's not getting the voting opportunity.
Oh.
We're up to 12C for the next one. Okay.
Yeah, it'll pop up. The voting opportunity will pop up. Don't touch it.
Okay, let's move on to C, 12C item. Entertain a motion to rescind Standard 39, balcony and patio enclosures. September initial notification, 28 notification for member review and comments to comply with Civil Code 4360 has been satisfied. Can you please read the resolution?
Whereas the United Laguna Woods Mutual recognizes the need to review standards as necessary, and whereas the Mutual recently revised language in Standard 34, patio and balcony coverings to incorporate processes currently contained in Standard 39, balcony and patio enclosures, and whereas the aforementioned integration of procedures would create a duplication of information, the Mutual recognizes the need to rescind Standard 39, balcony and patio enclosures. Now, therefore, be it resolved, November 12, 2024, the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby rescinds Standard 39, balcony and patio enclosures as attached to the official meetings of this meeting, and resolve further the resolution of 01-2434 adopted April 9th, 2024 is hereby canceled. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution. I so move resolution 01-24.
There is a second? Second. Okay. Charlie has been second. Any discussion? Any question? Okay, ready to vote? Okay, 9-0. Georgiana. All right, 10. All right, everybody voted. All right, 10-0. It's been approved. Thank you. Item number 12D, disciplinary update report. Francis, come up. Welcome to our board meeting.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
You're being very efficient this morning.
I know. We are moving along well, right?
Yes, you are. So I'm hoping to add to your efficiency this morning. So before you is the disciplinary update report. The table that's in your report is for the months of August to October of this year. And you have the breakdown by allegation. We started off the month with 463 cases and ended the month with slightly less at 452 cases. Your disciplinary matters have remained consistent, so there's not a major swing in any of the categories that's of noteworthy this month. And that concludes my report. So I'm available for questions if the board has any questions.
Your report is very efficient. Okay, any question? Yes. So,
Could you please explain this so that our new members kind of understand it, that the 438, the 463, the 452, those are not all new. They
Correct.
flow over. Can you kind of explain the numbers?
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I was so efficient, I kind of just like went through it all. So for the new board members, welcome. I am Francis. I am from the Compliance Division. I oversee the Rules Enforcement Program for United, for the entire community and United. We do have a team that has compliance coordinators, inspectors, and administrative staff that help us kind of carry out the program. We are under the umbrella of the Security Services Department, so Chief Nunez is our boss and oversees our program. The report that you have before you is a snapshot of what the cases are and broken down by the category that they are in. So for example, the column August, we ended at 438, and that's at the end of the month. So it's literally a snapshot taken on the end of the month for that month. It includes new cases, cases that have been, it does not include the cases that have been resolved, but includes cases that are, that continued on to the next month. And it's the same thing with September. It's a snapshot at the end of the month of where we were with your disciplinary cases and broken down by category. And then the last month, October, is a snapshot. So I give you a 3-month breakdown so you could see if there's any trends going up or down. If there is drastic changes, we do bring that to the attention of the board. We also have the member hearings committee that we work very close with and hand in hand. So they get a lot more details of what this report would have. So if there's a major swing in one of your categories, they would probably find out before you did at this board, at the board level. If there's also a specific case that needs to be discussed, or that staff feels that should be brought to the attention of the board, we start off with the committee and then escalate if needed.
That's
So I
right.
think in a
And just
nutshell
for
that-
reference, that the delinquency cases is usually also working with the finance department. right?
Correct.
So, yes.
So the delinquency cases are taken from your delinquent report that's presented at the Finance Committee in your closed session.
Right.
So you get the closed session packet, our team gets that delinquency report, and that triggers our department to start sending out notices and try to collect the balances from residents. If they don't comply to your notices, whether it be delinquent or any of the other categories, this board has taken a conservative approach in enforcement the last couple of years. So we will work with the resident to gain compliance. If we hit a roadblock or if there's just no more progress on the resident side of it, then we'll go ahead and schedule it as a disciplinary hearing, which goes through proper notices per your bylaws and civil code. And those items come before the member hearings committee, and then any escalations or any high-level items do come before the board in closed session.
Good, thank you, yes.
Would you explain the illegal occupancy? What do you mean by that, and why do we have 40?
So illegal occupancy are residents who are residing past the 60-day period. So you do allow a guest time frame. So anybody is considered a guest for 60 days in a 12-month period. So it could be consecutive, it could be broken down throughout the 12 months. Anybody that steps into the 61st day is considered an illegal occupant unless they've gone through your review and approval process. So this item, illegal occupancy, includes people who have overstayed their lease agreement. So you approve them to a certain period, and if they've stayed beyond that period, they fall into this category. Anybody who's resided in the unit past that 60-day period that hasn't gone through the approval process is in this category. Any resident who is residing with an approved occupant but hasn't gone through your approval process is in this category. And then any quote-unquote short-term rentals, you do allow by minimum a 30-day stay that's required to stay in the unit. Anything less than that or not go through your approval process, they would be under this category as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Nancy? Yes.
Francis,
Nancy, yeah.
what are the penalties for extended stay?
So you do have your schedule of monetary penalties. It's anywhere between $50 and $500, depending on the severity of the matter. When the matters come before the Executive Hearings Committee as a disciplinary, that's when the committee and the committee members take action against the member. And you could choose to penalize them from anywhere between that $50 range and the $500 range. Usually, historically, the committee has been giving them like a $300 monetary penalty for illegal occupancy. The committee has also been very good at escalations. So if a member gets fined for their first hearing and they don't correct the violation, we bring them in for a second hearing. The committee has been very good historically to escalate that, meaning that instead of $300, they'll double it and do $600. So it kind of depends on the merits of the case, and the committee discusses it obviously before imposing any action.
So, for example, like 40 cases of delinquency, I mean, not the delinquency, illegal occupancy, I mean, historically, what is the percentage of getting penalized or just getting resolved, as soon as they got a warning?
The last time we checked, which was about 6 months ago, you were at a rate of like 70% of people responded to our first courtesy notice.
Okay.
So you have a small subset that does come before the committee, and then you have even a smaller one that actually makes it before a meeting before your committee. Because of the strict deadlines that we have to uphold, they get noticed for a special date and time 15 days in advance at least. If nothing got them to comply, that letter usually gets them to comply because it has a lot of legalese items in it because it's been vetted by your legal counsel. and that'll get members to comply. So it is customary for us to send out a hearing notice with the date and time, and then remove them from the schedule because they complied before they came before the committee. So then you have a smaller percentage that comes even before the committee to discuss the violation and why they haven't come in compliance.
Yeah, Ellen, please.
Okay. Hi, Francis. All of these, every one of these pretty much requires a call to security, or is it to compliance? Like abandoned vehicles, or if you want somebody to be checked out because of illegal occupancy?
So it's both. And there's different avenues for how we get the cases that we start investigating under. So you do have residents who would call the compliance hotline, which is 1-800-268-CALL. You do have residents who email us at the compliance email. And then you also have residents who call security services dispatch to send out an officer to also investigate. Depending on the type of call, it would either come back to the compliance team for further investigation through our inspectors and our staff, or security services will investigate and then document by way of an incident report, which comes to our department for review. And then ultimately, if a member is scheduled before the committee or the board for a hearing, all those documents get part of your packet, and we do document what triggered the call or what triggered the investigation in the first place.
Okay.
One more question. So 452, probably we're all an officer, us, one of the security or inspector went out, right?
Not
Pretty much?
necessarily, because like, for example, the delinquencies that we talked about earlier, there's no one to go out and vet that or confirm that. It's just whatever it's in the system. As long as the system has the numbers, the integrity of the system is there. There's no physical person, officer to go out there. Carport clutter, we have 2 inspectors who go out there and do all the carport clutter. If security gets a call for a clutter item, they go ahead and send it over to us for investigation. Security goes out mostly for the nuisance violations, because those are occurring in real time. So an officer goes out there, an officer documents it. That incident report then comes to our office.
Thank you.
One more question. Delinquencies, do you have to go out and do an occupancy check to see if the property's occupied or if they vacated it, or no?
No, not for delinquency items. Delinquency items, we check the system. We see where the delinquency happened, occurred, and get that detailed information so that it's in the notice that goes out to the member. It's very rare that we have to do an occupancy check to see if they're there or why they're not responding.
Okay. Thank you, Francis.
Maggie?
I just wanted to point out the delinquencies have gone down. And that's a very good sign. It means our people are paying their bills
Yes.
on time.
Yes, that's very encouraging.
Very, very positive. Yes.
Yes, thank you. Marie, did you have a question? No? Okay. Any other question? No question. Yes, yes.
Okay, one more. Okay. When when you send out that letter, the courtesy letter, do you send one to the tenant and then one to the member owner?
No, only to the member.
Oh,
So
I thought-
your relationship, United's
Yes.
relationship is only with the member. Your disciplinary notices, courtesy, final follow-up notices go to the owners.
Right.
So the members that are on file.
So-
It doesn't go to the lessee because United doesn't have a relationship with the lessee. United has a relationship with the member. You have a contract with the member. They're required to abide by the rules. And then your bylaws and your rules and a lot of your governing documents clearly state that the members are responsible for anybody they allow in, whether it's a lessee, an occupant, a guest, a contractor, and so forth.
Okay, I thought that the tenant would get something to know what to correct, like clutter.
No, for disciplinary matter, for delinquent matters, they do get notices, like if they have a traffic citation, it does go directly to the lessee because they're the ones, it's just a handoff to them. But once it reaches to our department where it's at an escalation, we only deal with the members.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
very
Thank
much,
you.
Francis. Thank you for your work.
Welcome, my pleasure.
All right. Okay, now let's move on to item 13, new business. A, town halls oral discussion by Director Costello.
Thank you, Madam President. I apologize that we did not have a town hall in November as I was on vacation and out of the country. So my first town hall will be December 13th. It is scheduled. And in discussion with the board and with our residents, I would like to change the format a little bit and focus more on the information that is presented in our resident orientation. I've spoken with a lot of residents who don't know how to get on Granicus, who don't know how to contact various parts of our organization that are there to support them. I've also spoken with Siobhan. I know that the VMS portal is coming out, and I think it's important that we get her out there and explain the portal to our residents, and she has been very kind to accept that invitation. She's not looking at me right now, but but I think it's important that in order for this portal to be successful, and I believe it will be, we need to engage people where they are, and a lot of people come to the town hall. So I think that's an important way to get the information out there and in front of them and show them hands-on how to use this and how to engage. Whether it's fear, whether it's lack of knowledge, I'm not sure, but you can never over-communicate, right? So that's going to be on an upcoming agenda whenever Siobhan feels comfortable that we can do that. And like I said, the resident orientation information I found invaluable, and I think it's important that we share that with our members as well to make them feel empowered and engaged.
Thank you. Any other questions or any agenda items or any idea for Jeannie? Yes, Maggie, please.
No, I totally agree with that one, and I think it would be good for us. We can't present them the whole new resident orientation thing, but we can present them a sheet which tells them where to look online. And that link is good enough, and they will always have that, not just throw it away.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a very good idea. I think
Thank
this
you.
is super. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
I have found these CEO reports to be very valuable and uplifting, it's explaining the successes and what's going on. So you don't have to use this report, the November report, but you can go to past reports and pull out information, and it would be very easy to clip the PowerPoint presentations that you think would be of value. I always learn from these things, and I think it's very encouraging to know that all the work that's gone on. Yeah.
Thank you. Charlie?
Yes, Madam Chair. I have a question about the presentation that you're thinking about for the town hall. Are we on the cusp of getting a new software for our website?
Yes. Yes.
The website actually went live this morning.
It
Yeah.
did go live,
Yes. Oh,
okay. I
congratulations.
knew it was very shortly coming.
Right.
So are we going to be able to use this new website in the presentation?
That's the plan.
Yes.
And to Maggie's point, is taking the resident orientation in bite-sized pieces, not overwhelming them all in one
Right.
sitting, but giving them an opportunity to absorb, 2 or 3 of the things that are being presented, and then having time for questions and things like that. A more directed communication out to them, as opposed to where the town halls seem to be today, which is more questions and things coming to us, providing them valuable information going out. There will always be time for questions and concerns. It's just, I think a lot of the information we can put in their hands already and hopefully teach the man to fish as opposed to giving him a fish, right?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other ideas? Yes. Yes, Nancy.
On the point of town halls, another one that I think is useful if VMS can have a part in this is project management, because there isn't a town hall and sometimes even a board meeting where we don't have people coming in with project management issues. And it's usually the basis of it is that we're at 60 years, and so we're seeing a tremendous amount of increase in that, and there's not an understanding on the part of the individual what happens next.
Right.
And or projects that are delayed or extended. So I think that is something that is really important so that we can, also it might end up with some sort of literature piece for them to have, but I think that's something that BMS can help us in respect to that, because I know that also M&C and DNR are
Yes.
kind of involved in the ERP program this year, which I know is a lot of alphabet soup stuff we talk about in the boardroom. So not to bore the residents, but in fact, that is about your unit, and if something happens, how is the project managed, how is it handled, what can you expect, et cetera. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we always have a good
Question,
idea. Oh,
Madam
yes.
Chair.
Ellen? Uh-huh.
Yes. Jeannie, you spoke about teaching people how to use the website, right? What about coupling something with the PC Club and people going up to the
That's a good
PC
idea,
Club?
too.
And, because there's classrooms up there.
This, Shiba.
The PC Club, out of their generosity, offers a free village tech tools training once a month at no charge to participants.
But I was thinking coupling it, making it a town hall and inviting people to come up there, and maybe we can put it together with that, but hands-on.
That's a great idea, and
That's-
that's one of those things that we can show it and
Right.
then refer them to the PC Club for hands-on, for further hands-on training.
Good, good. Thank you. Thank you. Always brilliant ideas are welcome. And yes, incorporate to the communication between the board and town, I mean, all the residents. It's very, very important. Thank you. All right, let's go to the 13B, entertain a motion to approve temporary borrowing.
Do you want me to
Can
read the
Steve-
resolution, or is Steve going to explain it
Yes,
all
Steve
first?
can explain first, and
Okay,
then
okay.
ready to read the resolution later on. Okay.
Absolutely. Good morning, President Choi Ho and members of the board. First, I'd like to start off with a quick apology. When we sent out the staff report along with the resolution, when we merged the documents, we unintentionally merged a previous version of the resolution. So the file that you received on Friday evening contains the corrected version with the correct dollar amount, as does the information that's in front of you, and some information that was passed out by Paul this morning. So if I may, I'll go ahead and read off the recommendation as written on the file. Staff recommends the board approve the temporary borrowing of $3.2 million by the operating fund from the reserve fund to meet cash flow needs resulting from a combination of prepaid property insurance and prior year operating loss. The temporarily borrowed funds will be used to pay for property taxes due in December. Payback of the borrowed monies to the advancing fund is planned for 3 months, but is not to exceed 1 year from the date of approval. We always include, as part of this recommendation, the not to exceed 1 year. That just matches civil code.
Right.
There is no reason why it's going to take any longer than 3 months. But we just put that in there. Included on the staff report is also the authority, the civil code that allows and kind of gives you some background on why the temporary borrowing exists. From a background perspective, again, as I included in the staff report, it's mostly made up of the prepayment. The way United budgets is it budgets to down to zero, right? So every dollar amount that you collect is budgeted to be spent. When you sit in a prepayment position, such as property insurance, where you're paying an exorbitant amount for an extended period of time, United does not have that cash sitting just idle waiting. So you have options. You have the option of either borrowing funds from your reserve, which is what we recommend doing, or you can borrow money from an outside source, such as a bank. But of course, you're going to pay interest for those dollars. Given those two options, historically, what we've done several times per year, typically when we're making a prepayment, either property taxes or property insurance, we recommend that you borrow from your reserves, and that's exactly what we're doing here. So right now, as of when the payment is due on December 4th or so, you're going to be about $1.6 million tied up with your property insurance. That's going to be expensed in January, February, March, all the way through June of next year. On top of that, you have $650,000 or so tied up on a receivable that you're waiting from your old insurance company. And then also in the prior year, you had about a $900,000 loss, which you're anticipating on recovering through your budget in 2025. but that money is not in your funds at this moment. Hence why we're recommending this recovery right now. Again, the property tax payment due in December, that's about $7.5 million. So that once you pull that money over from reserve, the $3.2 million, those funds will be returned to the reserve fund within the next 3 months. Just to give you some assurance, I also presented or included as part of the attachments a cash flow forecast. And this is all the inflows and outflows of both the operating fund on the left, the reserve fund on the right. And you can see in the orange highlighted amounts is when we are anticipating repayment. For instance, we're going to be taking the money with your approval on about December 3rd of $3.2 million. So that money is coming from the reserve account into the operating account. On January 31st, I'm anticipating repaying the reserve fund $1.2 million. On February 28th, another $1 million, and then the final payment will be in March, and that will bring the balance down to zero. And again, this is an ongoing thing. Once again, I said this a moment ago, but we do this whenever you're in a prepayment position. So right now, we're asking to pay the property taxes. It will be repaid. But coming up in the future, so you're also going to be making another payment next April. So you should anticipate myself giving a similar recommendation at that time, because you will have to borrow. You will not have collected all the property tax funds by April when you're making 6 months worth of payments come next April. And I'll pause here for any questions.
Any question? Jeannie?
I have a question. Thank you, Steve. Thank you for making it very clear. My big question is, how long will this go on? Once we recoup the 2023 loss through the increased homeowners association, assuming that it will bring us up to level by the end of next year, 2025, and we won't have to have this discussion again going forward?
As long as you're making prepayments, I would anticipate this to continue.
Right.
So this will always be the case. Come in April as well as December timeframe, and potentially in June, depending upon the level of property insurance. Again, when your property insurance was in the $1 million range, you had enough cash to go ahead and prepayment. But now that it's gone up to $2 million, $3 million, and presumably it's going to continue to climb, you will not have sufficient funds sitting idle in the bank available to pay. Alternatively, you could request that members contribute to your contingency fund, and as that contingency fund grows over a period of time, you may have sufficient funds to not have to borrow. But my recommendation would be to increase that contingency fund over a period of time, as opposed to hitting all the residents with a large increase just to take care of this. Because again, the funds are available in your reserve account. It's allowable under Civil Code, and it's up to the board from a decision perspective if you were to increase and how long you want to increase it for.
Okay, Sue and Charlene.
When I first came on the board and I heard about this, I was concerned and I thought, oh, we should raise the rates to be able to afford this. And then I started talking with my neighbors and friends in United, and I said, are you bothered by this? Because we would have to increase your assessment in order to cover this borrowing. And they said, absolutely not. I don't want my assessments to go up more than is necessary. So I think there was Tom Tuning put out something that was quite good, and he said, because of as you said, the increase in insurance and all of that, collecting property insurance in advance through assessments would cost members close to $550 per year with no additional benefits. That's almost like a month's worth of your CID assessment. So my neighbors, perhaps yours do, but they don't have an extra $550 floating around just to put in here because we don't want to borrow. So to me, this is like a savings account, and we have to dip into it and we repay it. So at first I was very concerned when I heard this, talked to my neighbors, and they were like, don't do it, don't increase it. So I thank you for your...
Thank you. Charlie?
Steve, thanks for this well put together, but are you actually saying that in March, April of next year, okay, when the next payment is due, that you will be requesting another $33.2 million?
No, the number is going to vary. So depending upon your cash position at that time, and I'll have a forecast similar to this one to let you know in advance. I'll bring it before the Finance Committee next time, so my apologies for not bringing it forward this past Finance Committee, but with all the ERP stuff we had going on, we got tied up. But in April, again, the way property taxes work is from January through June, you pay approximately $1 million, $1.2 million per month towards property taxes. So by April, you'll have only collected between $4 and $4.5 million for property taxes. However, in April, you'll owe $7.5 million. You will not have collected all those funds. So once again, you're going to be making payments through with cash you don't have. So more than likely, we will come and ask you to borrow money from the reserves of the tune of between $2 and $4 million. Those are just a hip shot number in order to pay for that dollar amount. So because you're also going to have money tied up again in the prepaid insurance at about $400,000 a month. So April, May, June, you're still going to have about 3 months, so about $1 million tied up in prepayments. So again, I'll come back at that time in March, April timeframe requesting those funds.
Thank you. Georgiana?
Yes, I guess I got this, I think these figures came out, or the update, after 6 o'clock on Friday before a holiday weekend. So it didn't really give us much time to, it's sort of like, putting us over the barrel. We have no choice but to go forward with it. And I don't think that real estate or property tax money should be accessible at all. It should go into that account in a separate account all by itself that is not accessible except under extreme circumstances, because it is entrusted to us. And what may work every year, at some point it doesn't. And then what do we do? We're at risk. And I think as a board, we need to be looking at ways to reduce our expenses. That's normally what a corporation does. If you've got some issues, you reduce expenses. And I've been asking for that, and some people have. And I think we need to do some stuff like looking at line items we can remove from the budget, or ways to increase our revenue. But I don't think this is a particularly safe way to go in the future, because it only works until it doesn't.
Steve, can you answer?
As a quick response to that, so yes, I completely hear what you're saying. So from a property tax perspective, you could do that. If you don't want to touch those funds, that's an option for the board to continue with. But if you set aside those funds, you will need to borrow from somewhere else, right? That would automatically imply a loan. And to reduce expenses, as I started off with, you collect enough revenue to offset those expenses. So if you reduce your expenses, you're also going to reduce the cash coming in, and that won't help in this instance. So again, your alternatives are to borrow from an outside source, to increase your contingency fund, or to borrow internally from your reserves. Those are pretty much your three options to go forward with. And historically, this has worked. Again, I completely hear what you're saying. It works until it doesn't. But we give you regular updates. The cash, as long as it continues coming in from assessments, you should be sufficiently funded. You have about $15 million in your reserve account. And again, on a monthly basis, I'm reporting to the treasurer. Every 2 months, I'm coming to the Finance Committee, and I'm reporting specifically on these updates. If there is a concern that we won't have funds available, the board will be the first to know.
Any other question? And Maggie is next, and Nancy and Ellen.
Thank you. Rossmore at one time, and maybe still does, hits its members at the beginning of the year with the insurance payment entirely. So they have to come up with like $550 at the beginning of the year with the rest of their ordinary assessment. And that's quite a jolt, although they're a more highly affluent group. And so they're not bothered by that. Our people get their monthly check from their retirement account, and it's the same, it's the same, it's the same, it's the same. So this is as a favor to our members
Yes.
who would otherwise be at a loss of how to pay that. And we would have to tell them, no, you've got to start saving for it in the middle of the other year. So save it, and put it aside somewhere. And this way, we just give them one bill, and they pay that bill, and that covers everything. And I think that's kinder to our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Nancy?
This is sort of a stream of consciousness comment, so if I'm a little disorganized. One, my prior experience is that property tax funds are sacrosanct. You do not touch them. They're designated for a particular purpose, they go into a separate account, and they remain untouched. Two, corporate-wise, 100% agreement. I've been in multiple corporations and situations, and we cut expenses, whether it's salaries, hours, whatever it is, that's what we have to do. We do that, period. It's a national thing here. They're even doing it in companies that are doing quite well.
Thank you.
4,
Oh.
3, do our mutuals, our options are that we borrow from a bank, or we just borrow, right?
Yeah.
All of our money comes through a gateway here. Every check we write for our monthly assessment goes to the gateway, to our trustee. Do we ever borrow, do any of mutual ever borrow from our trustee, which has, what, $45 million sitting in its reserve? That way it protects, if we borrow from our trustee this money, pay him back on the schedule that you have, United reserves sit there poised if we need them for some other emergency. I think our trustee knows we're good for it. It avoids immediately doing a special assessment, and that would be my recommendation.
Thank you. Ellen?
Yes. Hi, Steve. The reserves, you said 15 million, is that total, everything?
Of your reserves? Correct.
Yes, okay. And that's after we borrow, correct?
Forgive me. No, your reserves right now are $15 million prior to the borrowing.
Prior to the borrowing. So what would be the rolling balance of the temporary borrowing?
The rolling balance, so listed as one of the attachments, and gives you the, so $3.2 million after 1 month, it'll go down to 2, and then it'll go down to 1, and then it'll go down to 0.
We have the balance here. I can't.
The rolling balance is off the right-hand side.
Yeah, it's hard to read. So because we borrowed 7.5 last year, or last few months ago. So rolling balance is what?
Right, so that was paid off in full.
Yeah,
You borrowed
3.2.
$6.5 million last April to pay for the property taxes as well as some other items. And then in, forgive me, June timeframe, I believe you borrowed another $1 million to assist with the payment to the property insurance that was paid out. And then that was paid off in full. It was paid off in, the last payment for the schedule was made in October. And then now we're here. So the rolling balance as of today is 0. Right?
Okay.
So you have no balance due to the reserve account.
Okay.
So come December 3rd, with the acceptance of the board, we'll go ahead and borrow those funds, bring them over, and again, it'll be paid over 3 months.
Okay, thank you.
Mary, did you have a question?
Actually, I had a statement. With the impetus on this board of trying to find new ways to bring in money, I think this gives us an even greater spurt for the ad hoc and for other ways that we can cut things. I mean, my view when I came on is we've got to take care of the needs and we got to wait for the wants. So each thing that we look at, we need, is this needed? Is this what we need? Or is this something we want after we get a little more solvent? But I really encourage this board to use this as an impetus to really look for ways to save money, one of which I'm really working on the turf situation. It may turn out very helpful. We'll see what happens.
Yes, it is nothing new, and, you know, for a year as a treasurer and finance committee, this is constantly our issue and agenda, and try to find a way to save as much as we can. But at this time, you know, we know all the ideal, you know, things and separate account, but it costs much more money than we do right now, and we are borrowing from our own money, so we don't have to spend much interest to other companies. So as of now, it's the best option we figure. But again, as a board, we could always explore and investigate a better way of handling it. Right? That's what we're trying to do. Right? Okay. We have 2 rounds of discussion. Then I think, one more, Nancy, and right.
Yeah, without divulging anything, there's several of us that see the resale packages.
Right.
People are, I have not seen one since I've been a director where anybody's borrowing money to come in to buy. And they have to meet the minimum requirement, which is a substantial amount of money. I'm not getting the same flavor that we are needy, struggling people that are coming in here. And I mean no disrespect to people who've been here for a long time, and I've been here for a long time. The word special assessment is a cancer to our thoughts, right?
Right.
Nobody wants to hear that because we've never had a special
Right.
assessment. And when you come into an association, one of the first things you might ask is, have they ever had a special assessment? Because that gives you some foreboding and forewarning on it. So I really want to dance away from that concept, although I think our people can handle it. That's where I want to say I disagree. They could handle it if we had to. I still want to come back to Steve to answer my question, which wasn't necessarily a question, but the potential recommendation that we can, in terms of borrowing, we can borrow from our trustee and keep our money in our account in the event that we need it. We're moving into, what if we have another rainy season? All of a sudden, we're going to get hit with an outside service bill for the roofing and so on and so forth. Our trustee has ample reserves with respect to loan us the money, even at no interest. And remember, because it's our money, we've put through that gateway, and it's housed safely and securely, that if we do that might be a better option for us, because then it gives us the peace of mind as, quote, the bankers for United, that if we have to call on our reserves, we're not fretting at night, and I know I am about this since I got this report, really worried about it. And for a year, anybody who knows me knows I've been screaming, we need revenue. And I'm on creating other revenue sources as a Band-Aid to that, but a long-term solution as well.
Right.
So this is a hump that we're in right now. I would like to view it as a temporary situation that we will ultimately resolve it because we have the fortitude to do that. But I feel that is the direction we should go, and I recommend that strongly.
I totally agree with it. Right. Okay. We will look into it and find a way if possible. All right. Yes, Marie.
I just wanted an insurance background, okay? What was the name of the old insurance company that we're waiting on them to give us some money back? And what is the name of the new one?
So we can discuss that in closed session?
Yes.
So during an open
we
session,
have
we
an
don't
agenda
discuss
today.
why.
Right.
Contract.
Okay.
Okay, we have a discussion in the closed session. Yeah, we have more information. Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to talk a little bit about this when you're talking about the old versus new members. And I know I've been shocked at the number of amounts of money people are bringing in. And so I think it's fabulous for them, that they're moving in and they have this excess money. But our older residents have been here, they've been paying their bills for years, and they're aging, and they're not getting increased revenue. So my heart goes out to them. And so there we are at that. And we were looking at another committee at possibly borrowing money for a project that says it's desperately needed. And we're looking at borrowing at outside interest at around 9% interest for outside borrowing. We shouldn't be paying 9% interest for outside borrowing. And GRF reserves are not ours. That is a different board, and they would make those decisions. We would need to appeal to them. But their reserves are invested and getting around 4.5%. So they need that money too. They have major projects. So, I think we need to be aware of that. And then last year, we really looked at growing our reserves amount, because when you look at the report, they are low. They are
Yeah.
quite low because of past actions. And so we felt it was more important to grow those reserves versus putting more additional money in the contingency funds. We wish we could have done both. We wish we could have increased both. But, you know, there's cap. So anyway.
Okay. All right, thank you. Yes,
When you're ready, we have
Oh.
2-member comments.
okay. All right, yes.
Make one closing remark real quick. I implied, based upon the question from Director Leonard, that your current reserve balance is $15 million. I don't want to imply that you're going to be taking away from your investment balance, which is
Yes.
$15 million. This is all in your cash. So
Right.
your $15 million that's sitting in investment will not be touched as a result of this.
Right.
So the money that is sitting in your cash account
Yeah.
is what's going to be touched.
Okay, member comment.
So before we do that, we have Tom with a question or comment.
Okay.
Yes. I have a few comments. First of all, we have not had a motion yet made, so the discussion is not really relevant
Good
yet
point.
until
Right.
the motion's been made and seconded.
Okay.
And that would be when the member comments would be made.
Okay.
But I have a few comments from Steve's and everybody else's that I'd like to make. And that's, Sue said it, I don't know why GRF would want to loan us the money when we have our own money that we can borrow from.
Exactly.
And that wouldn't make sense to me.
All right.
Also, if we lowered expenses, as was suggested, then that would mean we should lower assessment. And then at that point, we'd have to raise the assessment to add to the contingency fund. And you're talking about roughly $50 a month per man or per month to equate to the amount of money you need for the insurance policies. So just want to make sure you understand that just because you lower expenses does not automatically mean you add to the contingency fund. It would still take a vote of the board to increase the contingency fund by that amount of money too.
Okay.
In the 2025 budget, we couldn't do that because we were already reached the 20% cap without a special assessment. So I just wanted to point out a few of those things before we vote on the motion and everything. So
Okay.
those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Your background is so beautiful. We are sitting in here indoor and you are enjoying your outdoor. All right. Thank you. Okay. Is there any other comments before we really move and yes? Okay. Why don't you read the resolution?
Okay. Temporary borrowing. Whereas pursuant to Civil Code Section 5515, the Board of Directors may authorize a temporary transfer of monies from a reserve fund to an association's operating fund to meet short-term cash flow requirements or other expenses. If the Board of Directors has provided notice of the intent to consider the transfer in a board meeting, notice provided pursuant to Section 4920, and whereas the notice required pursuant to Section 4920 has been provided in the agenda for the Board of Directors meeting, and whereas it has become necessary to temporarily transfer monies from the reserve fund to the operating fund to meet cash flow needs due to, 1, timing differences in when property insurance premiums are paid versus when they are collected from residents through monthly assessments, 2, the operating loss occurring in 2023, and whereas the amount of funds needed to be temporarily transferred from the operating fund to the reserve fund has been determined to be $3,200,000, and the repayment plan is scheduled for 3 months, but may not exceed the maximum period of 1 year from the date of approval. And whereas it is planned and anticipated that sufficient cash flow would be generated in the operating fund from resident assessments to repay the borrowed monies to the reserve fund. Therefore, a special assessment would not be needed. And now, therefore, be it resolved, November 12, 2024, that the transfer of $3,200,000 as a temporary transfer from the reserve fund to the operating fund for the reasons stated herein, and with the plan to repay within 3 months, but no later than 1 year from this date, is hereby authorized. And resolve further that the officers as agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I so move this resolution.
Is there any second? Maggie? Okay. There is any further discussion? Okay.
So we got two member comments.
Yes, member comment, please. Who is
First one is Dick Rader.
Dick Rader?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Dick Rader, 270D. I just have a recommendation. There are people, obviously, who are watching this on Zoom and Granicus. And when you look at the screen, sometimes there are various slides that could be shown. For example, the display report could have been displayed. Or the payback thing, that sheet that shows, where we're paying back the reserve funds. I think it would be very helpful for people who are trying to follow the committee meeting if it was displayed on the screen.
Thank you for your comment. All right. Any other
Next speaker is John Beckett.
Yes. Mr. John Beckett.
Well, you got to vote for it. No choice. Got to pay the taxes.
Yes.
But I'm not comfortable with this repayment plan. I agree with Director Carlson. Property tax assessments are sacrosanct. They should be deposited in a trust account, and they should not be touched for any reason. Not to prepay insurance, not to repay the reserve account. Property taxes only. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comment. Any more comment, discussion? Are we ready to vote? All right, let's vote on the screen. Okay. All right. Okay. 10 yes, 0 no. It's been approved. Thank you very much. Item number 13D, discuss the consider energy task force. Director Leonard.
We're C.
Oh, I'm
C.
sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. C, entertain, I'm sorry, 13C, entertain a motion to approve walkway lighting request program revisions. November initial notification, 28-day notification for member review and comment to comply with Civil Code 4360. Okay. Do you have any resolution to read?
Okay, I'm getting there.
Okay.
All right. Walkway lighting request program revisions. Whereas on March 8, 2011, by way of Resolution 01-1147, the Board of Directors approved the United Mutual Walkway Lighting Request Form, and whereas the Board also approved the following criteria as a standard to consider for installing additional new walkway lighting. The location is not within 20 feet of another light source, including lights on buildings, laundries, carports, and/or walkways. And the location is a change in direction, either a T intersection of walkways or a significant abrupt turn in the walkway, and/or the location is at an abrupt change in elevation, specifically a step or stairs in the walkway. And whereas the Board of Directors wishes to revise the United Mutual Walkway Lighting Request Form to streamline the process for member requests for new lighting. Now therefore be it resolved on December 10th, 2024, the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby approves of revised United Mutual Walkway Lighting Request Form as attached to the meeting minutes. And resolve further the Resolution 01-1147. Adopted March 8, 2011, is hereby rescinded. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. I move the walkway lighting request program revisions.
Any second? Okay. Jeannie has a second. Any question, discussion? All right, are we ready to vote? Tom, Helen? Okay, all right, Charlie?
Top two, who are we missing?
Okay, Nancy? Okay, we all got it? Okay.
Maggie isn't up there.
Maggie? Did you vote?
There she is.
Okay.
Okay.
10 yes vote, 0 no vote. Passed. Thank you. All right. Now the 13th Allen's turn. Discuss and consider energy task force. Oral discussion.
Okay, I would like to discuss creating a energy task force subcommittee of the MNC. We have solar panels that are on top of carports that are, the last report we received was in August, but it was dated April. And there is, on some of those arrays of solar panels were 0% production. We invested money in this solar panels in 2014. It's been 10 years. We are recouping and seeing benefits from the solar panels, but if we don't maintain them, keep the trees trimmed around them so the sun can come through, and make sure that the outlets aren't rusted, our investment is going to just dwindle. So I believe that also we're having problems in the carports with electric vehicles plugging in, and we are losing power in the carports. And we have to send staff out every time this breaker flips, and sending staff out costs about $150 every time we send them out. So we need to find a solution. And I feel I would like to establish a energy task force subcommittee of the MNC to oversee the solar panel production report and maintenance report, develop a plan to address the circuit breakers or load management solutions to prevent the EV-related power outages, and report to the MNC and board. I'd like to open a discussion on that, or I could make a motion. I'll make a motion.
Are you making a motion?
I'll make a motion to establish an MNC subcommittee energy task force. Thank
Okay.
you.
And,
Yeah.
there's a motion and second. Is there any discussion, any information available from the staff? Mr. Manuel, are you ready to give us some information? Because we don't have any.
Thank you, Board President, members of the board. This topic has been discussed at the MNC committee a few times now.
Right.
We're more than happy to bring information back to the MNC committee for further consideration. Always happy to do that. If the board is interested in forming a separate subcommittee, then I believe the proper way to do that would be to give staff that direction. We'll prepare a draft charter and resolution. We can take that to the MNC committee for their review and then bring it back to the board for adoption. I think that would be the way to proceed. If you want to bypass all of that and just create a subcommittee, we would just need some direction as to what specifically you want that subcommittee to look at. Typically, a committee charter and board direction is the more, we think, better way to go that way. Everybody's on the same page as to what you want the subcommittee to do.
Okay, since there is a motion and second on the floor, any discussion among the board members? Yes. All right.
We spent this money for solar systems. Oops, sorry about that. There we go. We did spend what I'm hearing, a large amount of money on solar for our carports 10 years ago. And my question, I guess, is, was there ever a warranty program or service program mostly that we could have gotten in the past to keep this equipment free and clear from what's going on right now?
Yeah, we do have a maintenance contract with a vendor that does maintenance on the panels. They clean the panels twice a year, and they make repairs when needed. So that's already in place. At the last MNC committee, we gave a report as to the maintenance work that gets done. We also provided a report on the where we are in return on investment of the project. And we identified a couple of areas that did need some repair work that have subsequently been taken care of. So all of that is in place. We're happy to share that with the more newer board members if you'd like. We can send out a copy of that report to the board members.
Thank you. Any other? Yes, Maggie.
I think before we start an ad hoc committee, we look at the report that he just spoke about and see if it's all covered already. Then we don't need to do that. We just need to be aware that it's there, and we can ask for those updates to be brought to the board.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Yes, Ginny.
Following with what Maggie was saying, Manuel, is there, and I guess this would go with landscaping, because it appears that the issues are the vegetation around, because if they're being cleaned, that's one aspect, but the problem that Ellen brought up seems to be more of a landscaping getting in the way. So instead of an ad hoc committee, what about just updating the landscaping requirements around solar panels and making not removal, but pruning more of a higher priority or more frequent in order to keep those solar panels working optimally?
Okay,
Yeah,
ma'am.
that issue of the tree interference was also brought up prior to the MNC meeting. We went out and looked at it. We did not find any trees that were obstructing or causing shade that were causing any problems on the solar panel generation. But we always have the ability to go out and trim a tree if in fact that's needed. When the panels were initially installed, the locations were selected based on trees not being in the way. But if trees have begun to overgrow, it's very easy just to go out and do the trimming. We looked at that this last time around. We didn't find anything that was causing a problem, but we're always able to do so if in fact that was become a problem.
Yes, Mary.
I think the landscaping issue is a smaller part of what Director Leonard was suggesting. The question of, we have electric outlets, people are using them and drawing more electricity than they were designed to do, and then we have to send somebody out for $150 per time to do that. I think that's the area she was looking at.
Yes, Sue.
I really don't know about this at all. I just heard, and again, that we borrowed the money to put the panels on, and then then it wasn't really followed up well on keeping the payments up and escalating that. Now, I don't know if that's true. I'd like to find that out, and so it's kind of the more information on this might be better. We have a number of electric vehicles in our area, and the panel flips all the time, and it's pain for people. But then when you talk to other people, they're like, I don't want to pay an increase for people who have electric cars because I can't afford an electric car. But I don't think it hurts to get good information so we know where we're going.
Okay.
That's
Madam Chair, I'd like to respond to some of these comments. This is not an ad hoc committee. This would be like a subcommittee, maybe meeting quarterly to look over reports. As you know, Sue, the M&C committee is massive. It is massive.
Yes.
And these reports, we don't get them every month, and we don't meet every month with the MNC. So we would review the reports. There's some of those panels that are, like I said, 0%. and we just look at the report and we're not able to pay attention to it. And the 0% could be because of a tree limb or an inverter. So we don't know, but somebody's not watching that report. So that's where the subcommittee would look over that. Now, the second part of it, we're paying 20% increase in our water, electricity. So we need to start paying attention to some of the things that we do have. Now, the EV charging has nothing to do with the solar panels, but it does have to do with spending money, sending people out. Maybe we want to limit the amount of cars we allow and sell a little stick or two to put on their car so they can plug into the carports rather than going to the charging stations. So what's happening is if you plug in more than one and you don't alter your times with your neighbors, the breaker flips.
Well, we get the point, but the thing is,
Yeah.
structure-wise, since particularly you
Well,
are
the
saying
structure-
that you need a subcommittee of the
The maintenance and
committee. And I
construction.
think the committee level, we need a committee and bring it to the board. I think that is, the content, it will be, secondary. But structure-wise, I think we can start from that. That's my opinion.
Start
Mr.
with the
Chair.
subcommittee.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Subcommittee from the MNC, and then MNC will say, oh, we need a subcommittee and
Not
study this one more
MNC,
like that.
some directors, a couple of directors to oversee and get the reports from MNC.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, and then
right, so, yeah.
Okay, so can we vote on it?
Form any time, I think, right?
I think she
Okay,
wants to call the
Maggie
question.
Maggie
Yeah.
was the one first. You have a comment, and then Nancy.
So you're recommending an energy subcommittee to do what we were hoping that the MNC was doing.
MNC's too big.
True,
Now,
Maggie, it's too much.
It's too big, it's too big.
Too big.
It's too
It's
big.
massive, so.
Okay, and this committee will work with the MNC committee, not against the MNC committee. Is
Correct.
that correct?
Correct.
And will, okay.
Okay. So, yes, Nancy.
Yeah, I think what Ellen's driving at is we really do. MNC is really huge, and what it does is allows some dedicated people to do the interpretations, read the reports and do the interpretations and give us feedback on it, which is really a important salient information. So I think I understand what you're driving at. And
Right.
so I would ask you, do you want to withdraw your motion?
No,
Or do you
I
feel
wanna-
you need to amend the motion, or do you want to call the question? Which is to vote?
I want to vote.
Okay.
I want to take
Okay,
a
so
vote
there is a.
for subcommittee.
Well, the thing is that this is our United Mutual Board meeting, and you, as a member, are you speaking? You are third member, right? So you are out of the jurisdiction.
About this because this is not just a United issue, this is third issue too. We have the same problem. So rather than going each different way, let's have a committee together because we have some ideas. You guys
I
have
like
some
that.
ideas that we can put a committee together
Okay.
to look at this issue
Yeah.
because we have exactly the same problem. So it's not isolated to United, it's between United and Third. If the ideas are good, that works for everybody, it's across the board. It's up to you guys. I'm just
Okay, all right.
offering a
Thank you
suggestion.
very much.
Thank
All
you.
right. Okay, now a motion is on the floor. Maggie? Yes. Uh-huh.
We have a member comment on this one.
Okay, let's have our board member comment first. Maggie, can you?
Okay, we have carports. Third does not have carports. We can discuss with them this. That would not be a bad idea.
Okay.
But we have carports everywhere. They have carports, but then they have private also. Okay.
All right, yes, can you, all right, any more comment, question, discussion? No. All right, we are voting.
Would you
Member comment, all right.
restate the motion, please?
The motion was to create a, sorry, I put it down, hold on one second. Establish
Energy.
My thing got erased, sorry.
Energy
Find
task
it.
force.
An energy
I
Task
go back
force.
1 second.
An
Yeah.
energy task force.
An energy task force subcommittee of MNC
Yep.
to oversee the solar production reports and develop a plan to address the circuit breakers or load management solutions to prevent EV-related power outages.
Yeah, we'll try to summarize that because Michaela's
Yeah.
taking the minutes right now.
Okay, now we got it, right? All right.
But let's do
comment,
the
please.
member comments
Right.
first.
All right. Kathy Bravada, 864 Ronda Mendoza, P. In this committee that you're talking about, are you also going to address the fact that the electric vehicle owners only pay $20 a month to charge their vehicles? People with gas vehicles pay $100, $200 a month in order to drive their car. As an owner, I don't like the idea that I'm subsidizing some 500 electric vehicles to pay $20 a month to charge their vehicle to run for an entire month. That amount, and I wasn't around when the survey or the initial committees were formed, but allowing EV vehicles to only pay $20 a month is outrageous as far as I'm concerned. And hopefully this committee you're talking about may address that, because if we're being charged $150 every time the breakers go out, these people, in essence, are paying $1 a month to run their vehicles that we all have to pay, that either can't afford an electric vehicle, which God knows I can't, or don't want to have one until 2030 when it becomes mandatory or they stop making gas vehicles. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I would like to
Call the
add that
question.
they could have a part of,
There is a motion to call the question, so
Okay.
we are going to vote. Are you ready?
Tom has his hand up.
Tom?
Yeah.
Okay, Tom.
Yes, I think Juanita Skillman would like to make some comments and hasn't had a chance to do so. Is that correct, Paul?
What?
I see a text that says Juanita Skillman would like to make a comment.
Yeah, I see it right now. You want to?
All right, one more comment by Juanita. All right.
How come we can't see that? It wasn't up here.
Oh, okay.
Juanita, can you hear us? You can speak now.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to do a little history here. First and foremost, we put the solar in without borrowing money for it by taking the money from our reserve fund, our contingency fund at that time. At that time, we had an agreement, it was in the resolution, that we would pay back $5 per manor per month to the contingency fund to repay the $3.2 million that we took out to pay for the solar. The next year, they decided they didn't want to do that. They didn't want to raise the monthly dues, and so that never happened. And so that's one of the reasons our contingency fund went down, down, down. Secondly, the energy that is produced by the solar panels only goes to the laundry rooms. It does not go to any carport.
Right.
The whole issue with the breakers breaking and the problems that we have with EV cards in the carport, et cetera, is a whole separate issue and has nothing to do with our existing solar. It's a big problem. We've looked at it for years. We do not, at this time, have the cooperation of SCE, which we need in order to put enough power in there to power electric cars. So as Ellen mentioned, it's something that has to be done on a neighbor-to-neighbor basis. I'm going to charge it this time, you're going to charge it this time. And we have to remember that that electricity in the carports was originally put in for golf carts, not for electric vehicles, much less voltage. So I support the motion to have an energy task force. we're also putting one in on GRF as a subcommittee that a couple of your members will be asked to sit on. But I think we can cooperate to do that. But remember, it's two separate issues.
Right.
The existing solar, the maintenance of it, that it only goes to the laundry rooms, and the other issue with the carports and the electricity that we would need to boast. Thank you.
Mary?
Okay, there was a motion to call the question, so I think we're going to close the discussion. Now let us vote. Okay.
I'd like to say
No
one
more,
comment.
no more discussion because there was a motion to call the question, so
Allowing it. They're not allowing more
I
comments.
just allow her
Okay.
one more.
You're just talking about the golf carts in the carports, correct? If not, you should come to my cul-de-sac and see the cars who are also getting electric for their cars. Not carport, cars, vehicles, and golf carts. But I just thought I'd make a point of that because you just said that only for golf carts. No, cars are also doing that. In cul-de-sac 29, also in my cul-de-sac.
All right, thank you. All right, let's vote. We all know the motion. We don't have to repeat anymore, right? So let's vote to form the task force group. Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, director's comment, 2 minutes per director. Is there any comment? Georgiana, you have any? Oh, yes. What is it?
I may have misunderstood, but was something removed from the consent calendar and then had to be further discussed?
No, we did not.
Oh,
We just
Maggie?
amended the consent agenda and we approved that way.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay. So any comment among the directors? I don't want to go around. Okay, Marie, please.
Yes, I have a comment. Tomorrow, when the new GRF board is voted in, our current director, Leonard, will be our delegate, as we have already. I just want to thank her for her service on this committee and especially on her research that she has forwarded to me on the turf situation, and wish you well, and we look forward to working with you and you being just as energetic on the GRF committee.
Thank you. Ellen. Any other comment? Nancy?
Here, here.
All right. Yes, Maggie?
Thank you. On the electric committee, I think you should pay attention to also Steve Leonard, who handled this for a long time, for years. And Juanita also might be considered for assistance or advisors on the committee. Steve will probably be on such a thing for GRF.
Yes,
and
we will.
dovetail those efforts together. Thank you.
Thank
There's
you.
a lot of experience there.
All right, thank you. Any good ideas, forming committee? Just let's discuss it, let me know. Yes, Ellen?
I have a comment. We're commenting on we're closing it and commenting on the speakers, or what are we commenting on?
No,
'Cause we're
just
not
a
over
general director's comment.
Okay.
Before our committee report. Yes.
Okay. Well, I wanted
It's,
to
it's time for you to comment on your service for the United Mutual and moving into new endeavor.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm looking forward to it. It's not, it's a lot of work. It's going to be like a whole new board because there's a lot of people are leaving. So I'm looking forward to GRF. Thank you for your comment. Okay, move on.
Thank you very much for your service again, and we will keep on working with you, particularly the time that a whole new board members are coming into GRF. hopefully it will be a very good relationship building opportunity for 3 boards and plus tower. Thank you. If we do not have any more comment, then we'll move on to the 15. But do you need any short break? We're just moving on. Okay. We can move on then.
Okay.
15 United Committee reports. A item is, yes, Maggie?
I would ask for a short recess at this time, and that we come back
Okay.
and do the committee
5 minutes
reports.
then.
Thank you.
Right? 11:35, we will resume our session.
5 minutes, you said?
Yes, just bathroom break, right? Okay. All right, let's move on. Item 15A, report of the Finance Committee and financial report and treasurer's report. Mr. Prater.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is my first report, as you all know. Got this late last week.
Turn your mic on.
There we go. Thank you. This report was produced last week by staff, and I really do appreciate their time and effort into it. I'm going to ask that no questions during the reading of this. We can have questions at the end. Steve has actually agreed to be here and to help answer these questions, since I have only had this for 3 days, including the holiday. But let's go forward, and we'll see what we can do. This is slide 1, as you see. Through the reporting period of September 30th, 2024, total revenue for the United was $41.3 million, compared to expenses of $41, resulting in a net revenue of $344,000. Slide 2, please. In finance, we keep a close eye on the operating portion of our financial resorts. The operating fund, without depreciation, shows a surplus of $297,000 through the reporting period. This table shows how much of our revenue went into operations, with $18.9 million coming in from assessments and $1.2 coming in from non-assessment revenue. This is compared to an operating expenditures of $19.8 million. Okay, number 3. This next table takes the full income statement and compares those results to the budget. We can see that United ended up the period better than budget by $1.9 million when combined all funds. 4, please. The most significant variances from budget were attributed to the following: employee compensation, 1.3. Favorable variances resulted primary in the landscape M&C departments due to open positions. Impacted areas included grounds maintenance, irrigation, electrical, plumbing, interior components, and paint. Recruitment is in the progress to fill in current opening positions. Ground maintenance contracted sub-bed maintenance to outside vendors for the pruning, weeding, and cycle as they continue to fill these positions. Insurance, 469. Favorable variance due to the low hazard and liability insurance and property insurance premiums than anticipated at the time of the budget preparation. As a result of the joint policy with Third that begun on June 1st, 2024, United will see a savings in property insurance through the end of 2024. Utilities and telephone, $209,000. Favorable variance in water expenses due to the timing of billing. The August water bill was not yet received as of the reporting period. Once the bill is received and posted, the variance will be minimal. Outside services, $165,000. Favorable variance primary due to the timing of work in the M&C program, such as roof replacements, PVC, cool roofing, and paving, major asphalt repairs. The favorable variance is partially offset due to the more damage restoration events that occurred through the reporting period than anticipated. Fees and charges for services to residents, $188,000. Unfavorable variance primary due to less damage restoration backlog revenue than the original anticipated at the time of the budget. The anticipated revenue in United's 2024 budget was based on a sample of open damage restoration cases. The actual cost per incident was lower than the sample data represented. Additionally, the majority of these cases were completed in 2023. 5, please. On this pie chart, we show non-assessment revenues earned to date of 1.7. Revenue is organized by category, starting with our largest revenue generating category, fees and charges, followed by investment income, laundry, lease processing fee, resale processing fee, and so forth. 6, please. This table shows the same 1.7 of non-assessment revenue as prescribed in the previous pie chart and compares to the current year's budget and the prior year's year-to-date actuals. 7, please. On this pie chart, we see the expenses to date of $41 million, showing that our largest categories of expense are for property tax and employee compensation, followed by outside services, insurance, and so forth. 8. This table shows the same 41 million of expenses and compares it to the current year's budget and to the prior year's year-to-date actuals. Our fund balances are shown here. The contingency fund balance on September 30th, 2024 was $561,000. The ending balance for the period inclusive of 2023 operating deficit transferred from the contingency fund to the operating fund. Contributions collected totaled $114,000 with no expenditures to date. The reserve fund balance as of September 30th, 2024 was $15.2 million. Contributions, investments, revenue collected totaled $10.2 million, while expenditures were $10.2 million. Thank you. We compared this historical fund balance for the past 5 years on this chart, which has an average of $19.6 million. This table illustrates a schedule of repayment of the temporary borrowing from the reserve fund. United has kept a close eye on this payment of borrowed monies to the reserve fund and has paid the balance in full as October 31st, 2024. We have a table here that to show resale history from 2022 to 2024 through September 30th, 2024. United resales totaled 270, which is 19 resales higher than the prior year from the same time period. The average year-to-date resale price of a United Mutual Manor is now $397,000, which is $46,000 more than the prior year for the same time period. Questions?
Steve, what's the non-assessment revenues?
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Non-assessment revenue.
What are the non-assessment revenues?
None, yeah.
So
1.2 million.
Yeah. Various things. We mentioned the EV charging earlier. Numerous charges. Forgive me, I don't have them off the top of my head as to what they are. We discussed them in the finance meeting. They're included the detailed by line item in your financial statements that you receive on a monthly basis.
Okay.
But again, it's silly to say that it's non-assessment, but it's all the other things that are contributed, RFIDs, all the other items that are paid on behalf of residents for their unique situations.
Sweatshirts, tennis shoes, things like that.
Not so much, but exactly. So
Okay.
the one-off things that are outside the assessments.
All right.
Thank you. Any other question for Steve? Yes, Charlie.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Steve, I noticed something there that I noticed a period ago when I first started going to finance meetings and stuff there, just as a regular resident. The Landscape Committee has an ongoing over $100 million worth of funds available for hire for employees. And I have not seen any of a decline in that at all. Is there something that we can get together to talk about or something we can do to help fill these positions? I understood that they've gone to the union and asked them for help and everything else, but it seems like this is ongoing. It doesn't seem to be decreasing at all. Is there anything any direction we can go on this?
So Yes, I know that they've recently, not to share the details of the collective bargaining agreement, but the agreement has made changes that will benefit the employees. With that, I'm hoping that we'll have a better chance at hiring individuals under the new agreement as opposed to the old.
Okay.
So with more compensation, hopefully you'll draw more interest from the community, from employees. Beyond that, again, you're using a third party to make up those dollars, right?
Right.
And sometimes it works out in favor and sometimes it works against.
Yeah,
But-
that was actually going to be my next question. Are we using outside sources?
Correct.
Have we done a study to see if outsourcing this is a savings to us? And if it is, maybe we should look in that direction some more.
So from the last analysis that was performed some time ago, 6 months to a year ago, it is costing more, as you'd imagine, to use a third party than it would be to use internally. But we have ongoing efforts. We have some changes that are taking place in the Human Resources Department. We have a new recruiter. There's additional efforts that VMS is striving for to increase recruitment. Mhm.
Okay, Maggie.
Yes, our slopes and a lot of our tree trimming are outside. The slopes are quite dangerous and hazardous, and we hire them a few times a year because they are experts at that. They do it faster and better than we could, and they're also well insured. As for the trees, our tallest trees are also outsourced just for the same reasons. And so those are the two. And basically, all the other ground workers and so on are the ones that we use from the union. And we get what we can get and then fill in from other companies when we can't get them under our own umbrella. Thank you.
Ellen?
Steve, isn't most of the work done May through October? Am I right?
I would defer that question to Kurt. I believe it changes.
Okay, so this is for, through September. Are invoices paid right away, or?
So invoices are paid as they're brought in and approved.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, so there's no like a 30-day hold or anything like that?
Yes, there is. So with regards to, we accrue for whatever invoices we are anticipating, but until we actually receive them in the accounting department, until they're approved, we don't have there's always going to be a variance coming through.
Okay, any other question? Yes, Nancy?
You know, our outside services have gone up 20%, over 20% the last 2 years. And do you, I don't have the book here now, but is it broken down? How much is landscape, how much is M&C, how much is DNR? Because DNR is a subset of M&C, but it's a whole different beast. And I'm in a project and everything's being done by outside services pretty much, I notice. So are we breaking that down?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So within the...
And where would I find that?
Sure. Within the Finance Committee, you're privy to the expenditure report that we include as part of the package. We break it down by, you have operating fund, M&C operating fund, landscape, operating fund, general services. You also have the reserve fund. Off to the right-hand side, it's going to say labor, materials, and outside services. So off to the far right, you'll be able, on that expense report, you'll see that information.
Yeah, but here's the answer. The question is, we're not seeing the breakout of how much we're using for landscape outside services versus like damage restoration, which is what our residents are dealing with. And that's getting to be a big number. I think that's really where the increase is coming. So how much is for the project management and actually damage and restoration people coming in and doing that? We really need to have a handle on that.
Gotcha. It's included in the expenditure report. When we meet next, I believe in December, we can go ahead and I'll be prepared to do a presentation specifically on that.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. Yes, Maggie?
The landscaping report monthly is budgeted, and it shows you line by line where it goes, if it is an outside service, if it is trees, if it is what.
Right.
So if you review the landscape report, you will see it there.
But it's not seeing DNR stuff, and that's really where we're seeing the big, right? All South Coast Restoration, ATI, STAT, all of those people.
Thank you. Yes, Sue?
Pardon me. Steve and Charles, last year, It was very, very helpful when you did a presentation in the Finance Committee as to how to read the reports and the variances and the emphasis on that. Could you folks do that sooner rather than later?
Yes, our finance committee will meet November, right? And we had the last finance
It was
committee in
training.
September, and Charlie didn't have a committee yet, right? So I, hopefully that our treasurer and we will
Yes.
continue to, schedule that one. And September, the finance committee, we didn't have much agenda, except the regular financial report after we finish our assessment set and business plan. So next November 26th, 1:30 p.m. is our next finance committee, third Tuesday afternoon. And you will find more detailed information, any educational subject, and bring it to Finance Committee to Charlie later on, right? So that will conclude Finance Report. All right, thank you. Next item is B, Report of Architectural Controls and Standard Committee, Director Leonard.
Let me see.
Oh, okay, Nancy?
Yeah, member hearings, we have a hearing this Thursday. We had nothing the last month, so there's nothing to report there, and those are closed sessions anyway.
All right, thank you. Governing Doc Review Committee.
Okay, we did the committee charters, and those have been presented to the board. We're doing the social media email address policy, and we will maybe have some comments on that again in closed session. We have the operating rules guidebook, and of course you have the member handbook, the director handbook, which is your most valuable tool. Thank you.
Thank
Our
you.
next meeting is Thursday, November 21st at 1:30 as usual. Thank you.
Thank you. Landscape Committee. Sue, okay.
There's good news that will be coming this afternoon in our closed meeting regarding important contracts that we are implementing. And so I think you'll be very pleased about what's going on. I had a question in the past about they don't like to approve contracts. They think that this is not is somehow scary or whatever. We cannot expend any funds without the approval of the board. So that's why these contracts come. We have the money for these things, but we'll be discussing that. We are also planning to have a bus tour, like we did last year, and to show you how the operations work, the various facilities, that sort of thing. There are also some studies that are going on, and we plan to have information presented to you in hopefully early to mid-December. So it's been a very busy time.
All right, good. Next committee is?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's the fourth Monday of the month, and it's November 25th at 1:30 p.m.
Thank you. Report of Maintenance and Construction Committee. Ellen?
Okay. Maintenance and construction, we met August 28th, and the next meeting is November 20th. In our meeting on August 28th, we discussed the electric vehicles charging in our carports and also received a report of vehicles charging in our carports that did not have a sticker and did not pay. Also, we discussed waistline replacement and the benefits of doing that versus the epoxy versus the waistline where you dig it up. So and that was maintenance and construction. I'll also report on architectural. That meeting was September 19th. The next meeting is November 21st, 9:30. And architectural, we approved today a lot of the changes in the standards that we typically have. So that's all for my report.
Thank you. And United Resident Advisory Committee? Director
Yes,
Wilkins?
That next meeting is November 14th, which is Thursday at 4 o'clock rather, in the Elm Room. And so it's the second Thursday of every month.
Thank you. Report of United Revenue Ad Hoc Committee, Director Carson.
As you all know, one of my passion projects has been the privilege of working on the space utilization plan and building E process, and the other passion project is the revenue. And this is the ad hoc committee on revenue. We met on September 24th. We had a 90-day window of time. It's as if we were a task force put together to come up with some ideas, and we came up with 4 general ideas, and we'll have a report to submit to the board, not in this meeting today because we're got to get a little bit more organized on that, but there are open meetings, and Dick Rader did act as an advisor, and we had a number of board candidates and members of the community that came and attended the various meetings, so that was a positive thing. So our next meeting needs to be determined. We'll need to announce that, President, in an email when that comes to be, because we have to set the meeting date on, so
Yes,
that's an important to-do item.
Right. Thank you so much. All right, that will conclude United Mutual Committee report and move on to 16, GLF Committee highlights. Report of Finance Committee, which is by me. October 16th, we had the Finance Committee met, and generally we talked about the fees. So our fee recommendation, class fee, bridge room, guest fee cost analysis. So they've been going around all reviewing the fees and some increases, so on. So if you need detailed information, you can go to the minute. And next meeting will be December 18th, 1:30 p.m. in the boardroom. That's finance report of GLF. And next item is Community Activity Committee, Director Leonard.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, we met October 10th, and our next meeting is November 14th at 1:30. In our October 10th meeting, we discussed the aqueducts and the privileges that we provide the aqueducts as far as the pool and lifeguard services. We also talked about the equestrian fee recommendations and the golf fees, and that's it.
Thank you. Next meeting will be November 14th. All right, report of GLF Landscape Committee, Ms.
Yes,
Supan.
we are not meeting this month. The next meeting is December 11th at 1 p.m. in the boardroom and as a virtual meeting.
Okay, thank you. GLF Maintenance and Construction Committee, Nancy, please.
Actually, I'm not going to be reporting in the committee. I will report on the space planning aspect of that. As you know, the corporate members decided no on Building E.
Right.
And what will come up for M&C is what we do about that. Somebody said, well, now we need to deal with the demolition of it. I want to make it clear, because it was in the paper. Building E is not condemned. It is not condemned. There is no OSHA violations or anything else connected to it, that rumor mill notwithstanding. So one of the things we're talking about is repurposing, and that may be coming up for that. And also, this also begs that we're still dealing with the security, relocating security landscape and M&C who are temporarily housed in the building adjacent to the community center.
Okay.
The next meeting on that, and I am going to be serving on the M&C committee over there, as well as the space planning. Obviously, I would continue because I'm the resident planner that's been involved in that aspect of it. That's to be determined, so watch your calendar for it, because there's always a lot on M&C.
Okay, thank you. Report of Media and Communication Committee, Director Blackwell.
Yes, thank you. On July 15th, I'd like you to turn to this committee meeting. That's item 16E, and see all the things that we do have communication to with the members. We send out all this stuff if you look at the agenda for the next meeting, you'll find out I'll put it out to you, how many things we actually do. On pages 2 and 3, you can see how many things we do put out every month. GRF puts out, and the Media and Communications Committee does. They are working daily on everything. We have the lowest and highest open rates above standard across all industries for our what do you call it? Surveys. People respond to us above the industry level. Even though we think it's not enough, it's never enough if it isn't 100%. But our people are responding well, okay? So this is a very good committee, and we want to, GRF is starting a new program, which is basically a GRF welcoming like we do with new resident orientations. And it's going to be short, and it only is going to have 20 people a month. I don't know if that will be enough. So if we will still continue to give it a light gloss over in our new resident orientation, but GRF has decided to do their own, which is a very good plan, because that's been needed a long time. Thank you. We're meeting again October 21st, so you can go to Architecture First at 9:30, have your lunch, and come back and see us at 1:30. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. F, report of Mobility and Vehicle Committee. Nancy again.
Yes, actually, I'll take the next two, Chair.
Okay, all right. Report.
Mobility and vehicles, which is really our transportation system and also the vehicles that we use around the village. And the exciting part of that is there are a lot of other resources that have surfaced since the pandemic relative to transportation availability and options for the community. And one of the things that I've urged them to do is put together a matrix, whether we publish it in the Breeze, on the webpage, and even maybe create a card that you can grab here to see your various options. I mean, we have door-to-door service available now. We have medical services available. We have the regular fixed route system that's available, which we've honed down to make more efficient. Granted, it's probably I've used it myself, almost the least used, not entirely, because it's an in-place system. But we also have the OC Metro system that these things, and I said we need to integrate that so that we see how that fits into our system, and even how it positively impacts our budgeting and operating expenses. So we also look at mobility in vehicles, the specifications at the last meeting. Basically, we were looking at a lot of vehicles that workyard vehicles to not only buses and things that needed to be approved, and we weren't approving the budget amount because that happens in Cap E budgeting, but we have to approve the specifications so that we know that they're not buying Lincolns and they're buying Fords or something for particular tasks. The next meeting, we meet quarterly on mobility and vehicles, so the next meeting is in February. Security and access would be the next committee that I'm also serving on, and that our focus right now has been, our discussions have been the real importance of us moving to a contemporary system where we have smart cards. We carry these individual cards, and then we have our membership cards and library cards. But use and utilization is really tied to bottom line and operating expenses, and so if we have a handle on that, whether you're riding the buses or you're using the facilities here, it tells us really the head count. Right now we rely on a sign-in basis, so we do see it moving to a smart card system ultimately, and that's one of the things we're looking at. And then also addresses like the RFIDs. When we started putting the RFIDs, it gave us a lot better information about who was in the village. That really made a difference in security. Who was getting in, who was allowed to be in here, so on and so forth. So that also meets quarterly, and the next meeting is February as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Laguna Woods Village Traffic Hearing, Director Blackwell.
Which one?
Traffic.
Hearings.
Traffic hearings, okay.
Those are
We
closed,
don't
aren't
have a report for that.
Okay.
But we do have another
Yeah.
meeting this next month, and I'll be there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, wait a minute, I wanted to say 50% of our tickets are, of course, running stop signs.
Fine, okay.
Stop means actually
All right.
stop.
All right, I think we increased the fee penalty, try to decrease, try to discourage this, violation. All right, a report of Disaster Preparation Task Force. Ms. Willis.
Yes, the last meeting was on September 24th, and the next one is on November 26th in the boardroom.
Okay. Thank you. Finally, report of the Information Technology Advisory Committee. Ms. Tom Turing, you are out there a long time.
I'm still here, yes.
Yes.
The ITAC committee, it's pretty much about the ERP system, the Enterprise Resource Planning System. Just to reiterate, the finance department has switched over to the new ERP system. And so they've been doing double duty from an old system to a new system and all the testing and everything. So just want to say thank you again to both the information technology people and the finance people for getting that done. Like any software project, it is taking longer and costing a little more than expected, but the system's moving forward and they're going into the next phase, phase 2 and 3 of the ERP system. So those are closed meetings, but that's a quick update on it.
Okay. Thank you so much. Well, thank you for serving diligently as not only for the United Mutual member, but also as a corporate member for the GLF committee. So your work has been really appreciated. And all right, now future agenda item. All matters listed under future agenda items are resolutions on 28-day public review or items for future board meetings. And no action will be taken by the board on these agenda items at this time. The board will take action on these items at a future board meetings or GLF board update and approve walkway lighting request program revisions. Now, is there any other question or comment? Hearing none, that we will have a recess. At this time, the meeting will be recessed for lunch. And we convene to executive session, to close session, to discuss the following matters down there. So we are moving upstairs, Willow Room, and we'll have a lunch and then come back to the closed session. Now time is 12:10, so I think we will start at 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. No,
Jeff is almost here, so probably 12:30 if that's possible.
12:40. Okay.
12:30 or 12:40.
Okay, Jeff, our attorney is here already. So let us have a quick lunch, 12:40, all right? Resume at that time. Thank you very much.